Episode 73, Charlie.
Oh, do the intro then, baby.
Well, we're actually having a live rendition of the intro today from Charlie Smith, and I'll explain why in a moment. So go on, roll with it.
I can't remember what it is. Welcome back to British Business, the bottom line. All I remember on it is, I'm Charlie Smith, and I'm Matt Holland. That's it. Go on, explain why. I'm just going to carry on eating my toast. So just, if anyone just wants to look away, if they're watching.
Yeah. We can still hear you eating toast on the mic. Well, basically, we're on 5G recording this, or I am. And the app that we use to record the podcast called Riverside, the iPhone app doesn't allow us to add the jingles in live, so we're not able to do the intro jingle, unfortunately. Well, there we are. So how's things on your end, mate? I believe you've had a week off.
Yeah, I have had a week off. It was quite nice, actually. Spent the week with my eldest because he's on half term. First one I've done kind of on with Todd, having a period of time off with him, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I must admit. It was very, very good. It has made it brutally hard to get back in the swing of things the last 2 days, though. But
it's hard, yeah.
But do we ever really have a holiday, Matthew? You're obviously on holiday too, which is why you're sat in a car.
Yeah, well, this is it's an interesting topic, really. I mean, we've got a topic to cover on the episode, but we'll maybe kick off on that because I
spoke to Danny last week, and he said this would be a very good episode.
Why?
You're Danny.
Why would it be?
You know Danny. You know Danny. Danny.
Yeah,
he said, do business owners ever really get a holiday?
Well, I think what happens is it's a moment of like decompression, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we take a bit of time off, and well, for me anyway, I end up in a situation where I'm not actively doing the work, as in being productive, but my brain is free to think. So I often end up problem solving. That's what I like. So say there's an issue or an opportunity in the business. There's good ideas coming to me when I'm away from it. But we've spoken about that in the past.
Yeah.
I think.
Have you felt like that in the last week or so? 2 weeks?
Yeah,
3 weeks?
There's been a few things. I think one of the things I'm trying to focus on at the moment is improve data and KPIs within the business and reporting. I think I mentioned going and speaking to that guy that's doing a lot more turnover than me. He's on track to do 50 million this year. And one of the big differences between my business and his is he's just much more well systemized when it comes to data. And they're in the e-commerce game as well. So it's not like I can hide behind the fact like, oh, well, he's in a different industry. I don't need to do the data.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking a lot about that. We've got the store that's opening and that's going on. I've been thinking about my own personal development as well, because actually that's super important for the business to do well. I need to become better. So just been all those different things floating around my head. I'm currently injured from running, so I've not been able to go out running. Oh
my God, no way.
I know.
What, the man that never gets injured, and injuries are a myth, and you just got to get over it and get on with it and stop being a pussy or something is not what you normally say.
I've never said
you're
that.
Injured.
I've never said that.
Mate, if I scroll back through our WhatsApp messages, I'm sure there is a time when you've told me that.
Yeah,
what have you done then?
I don't know. My foot's hurting me.
Plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm not a physio, so I can't really diagnose it.
You must have one of them on speed dial now. Man of your esteem.
I have got a physio, but he's off. I think he's off. I can't actually say where he is, but he's doing something.
He's off work. He's got a bad foot.
No, he's got some high net worth clients.
Oh, wow.
So he's off doing some physio with a high net worth individual. And I mean, when I'm talking about high net worth, I mean beginning with a B.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then he has to come and deal with my feet when he gets back, bless him.
Ooh, your little farm feet.
Yeah, quite big actually, mate. Not some little southerner.
Do you know what they say about big feet?
Don't know what big hands.
Big socks.
Oh yeah. So yeah, should we? I mean, do you feel like when you've been off this last week, were you thinking about work at all, or were you able to
Yeah, but
switch off?
no. Yeah. I yes, I did think about work, but I actually really enjoyed just not doing an awful lot, if I'm being brutally honest,
Yeah,
which is quite unlike me, I think. Normally I'm not like that. Normally I do like drift back towards it quite often, but I think on reflection I was able to switch off and just do things with Finn. Like I just didn't I was absolutely fine just doing what we were doing, which was good. But it's made it like all these things, you have a week off, all of a sudden your workload doesn't disappear, it just doubles. And if
yeah,
you don't do any,
yeah,
if you don't do it, people you still need to action some of the things that are kind of your responsibility and within your remit. You still got to do those things. You just now got to do them with all the other things you didn't bother doing in the week off. So it does make it quite difficult. And yesterday I struggled a little bit just to get anything actually completed. Like just loads of like half jobs, loads of half things that people I need to get back to, things that I need to action personally. Like, and I didn't get any of them done, and it just left me so frustrated at the end of the day. And I thought, no, do you know what? Don't like try not to worry too much about it. Tomorrow's a fresh day. You'll come back to it today, and you'll be like straight back on it. But I still don't really feel like it this morning, so I don't know how long it's going to take me to get back into it. But I'm kind of like just forcing myself through, like trying to do the things that I need to do. But I don't feel like uber positive about a lot. And
it's
but I know it's a very up and down kind of curve. I feel like this quite often. Sometimes I feel really, really high. Sometimes I feel really, really low about it all. But
Do you know what's quite interesting actually? I mean, I struggle with motivation at times with a lot of different areas of my life, but the one thing that I've never struggled with is the motivation with work.
mm,
I was chatting to someone about it because like when it comes to like fitness and stuff like that, I have a bit of motivation and then the motivation goes, and that's obviously where the discipline comes in. But with work, I don't know whether it's just the drive is just there. I don't need motivation. It's weird. So I don't relate to what you've just said when it comes to work, but when it comes to other things, I really do get it.
mm.
So I'm not sure the reason behind that.
Well, just
But
to
yeah,
clarify, I still feel motivated about work. I just
yeah,
don't feel uber positive about it all. That's
right, okay, right, yeah,
I've still gone in there yesterday morning. I've still done what I can. I'm still doing it this morning. I'm still scrapping. I'm still talking to customers. I'm still hitting the emails. I'm still doing everything I can to drive it forward. I just feel a bit meh about it all right now.
yeah, and there's
You
nothing
know what
wrong
I
with
mean?
that.
I
I
don't.
think,
I can't possibly just forget about it. That's just not in my nature. I can't walk away from it.
well,
Can't leave it. Can't leave all my customers hanging. I can't. I need to do all the stuff. I get that. It's just. It's like a fight against.
well,
Just.
when I've gone through the biggest challenges that we've faced as a business and myself personally, I think you often find that you're on the treadmill, if that makes
Mm,
sense. You're running, but the distance counter isn't increasing. You're just no
mm.
going nowhere. But the reality is that it is.
Now that's good. I like
So
that. I like
so
that.
you might feel like you're not making any progress. You might feel a bit frustrated, a bit demotivated, but actually you will be making some improvements in the background that you probably can't see. And it's a yeah, it's interesting that because looking back, there was periods where I feel exactly like you, where I felt I'm putting the effort in, I'm not really getting much return on
Mm,
investment, but what is actually happening is you're learning, you're becoming better, you're trying things, it's not working, you then go in with a different angle of approach, you're trying it, you kind of like you're pivoting and then pushing instead, as Mr. Hormozy says. I, I think, but the key thing is just not don't stop, if that
no,
makes sense. You've got to
absolutely.
keep going,
Mm,
and then all of a sudden it'll just all kind of come together. And then like right now, I feel like we like KPI wise, like numbers wise, we're growing as a business. Like profit's good, things are going well. But I feel a little bit like that at times. I do get where you're coming from because I feel like God, I've been on the treadmill in this situation for a good year now, and we've not
mm.
really made much. There's not been like anything majorly tangible to come out of it.
Tangible is that? Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
Yeah,
But then the but So I've still got that feeling, but the business grew
Mm.
20% year on year in the last 12 months. So how can I say that when we've grown that level? But I don't know what it is, whether I'm chasing the dopamine or I don't know. I've not really had a dopamine hit from the business for a while. Um, like
It's
the
got to be that,
guys,
innit? It's got to be that.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember the guys from Perfect? They sell sneakers up in Scotland.
No, but yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Carry on.
They listen to the podcast anyway, but and I've chatted with them a little bit. I mean, they just hit a huge revenue milestone in a single month. I can't say what, but their business is absolutely thriving, and it's like when you hit a big round number and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I've hit that big revenue number." It's like they've just had that happen. So it's like it's quite. So he messaged me and was like, "Oh Matt, we've done this month." And I was like, "Fucking hell, that's mega on track to do X in the next 12 months." But when you're not hitting those kind of milestones, those big round numbers, it's I don't know, it's difficult. Like when we did a £1 million month for the first time a few years ago, that was like, oh my god, this is fucking insane.
Mm.
But then what's the next one? Is it a £10
Yeah.
million month? Like, and that's not going to happen for quite a while, I suspect.
Yeah.
So,
I know what you mean.
so do you know what I mean? It's relative, isn't it?
Mm.
Like, but anyway,
The more you do, I think the more you do, the longer you're in it, the less excited you become about certain things. I think that is true. I think your analogy of being on a treadmill and not seeing the distance counter go up is absolute perfection for how I certainly feel about our efforts in the last 6 months, I'd say.
yeah,
Because again, like our business grew last year, but
yeah.
we got to work doubly hard this year to get it to grow again. And
This
you
is the
think,
problem.
fucking hell, got to go again, keep going. No, like we're nowhere near where we need to, and it's taken all this effort to get to this point. And then you have a couple of
Yeah,
knocks, and you're like, fucking hell, am I really doing the right thing here?
it's very. I think it's very difficult. I think it's very difficult.
Mm,
I'm just looking at. We've had a couple of people reach out to me in the last week or so with the podcast.
nice.
Um, had a guy. I just wanted to shout them out really. So, Green's Garments, a guy called Joe, who buys and sells vintage clothing
Yep.
on Vinted.
Yep.
We've had Charles the plumber. He's messaged a couple of times saying, I'll just read his message actually. He said, "Hi mate, just wanted to say, honestly, your podcast is brilliant.
Oh, bloody hell.
I listen to yours, James Martin and James Sinclair, and honestly, all three of them are fantastic. I recently started following, here's the punchline, Jacob Lockwood, and I feel like part of a little group for some strange reason, as I've never met anyone. Really fucking random, I know, but basically keep the podcast coming, please. Now, isn't that
You
lovely?
are part of a group. You
Part of a
are
tribe.
part of a tribe.
That's it. The tribe, the definition of the tribe is we like pain and suffering,
Mm.
basically.
Yeah, look at the bags
Yeah,
under my eyes. God,
I know,
fucking hell.
yeah, yeah. And you've had a
Mm.
week off.
I know.
And then Gems Threads, appreciate he's been listening to the podcast with me and you on it. I think he does similar stuff to you actually. Quite an interesting guy.
Probably does it better.
Uh, well, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, I've looked at some of his. So yeah, we've had a few.
Oh, it's
I've had a
good.
few now. Do people bother messaging you, or are they just like, yeah,
Yeah, a few people message me.
go on? Are you going to shout anyone out? Or are you just going to?
Don't know. Let's have a look. Can't remember.
We've had some good comments as
We've
well.
had
But
some
one,
great. We still having some great comments on the
yeah, just
post.
pause on that thought for a moment. I rage baited someone earlier, but pause on that. We one thing I have noticed in the analytics, if you're listening on Spotify, I think it's something like only 20% of the people that listen to the podcast actually follow us on Spotify, and even less have rated us. So if you could go on the Spotify page and give us a 5-star rating, we'd really appreciate it because we want to reach as many small business owners as possible. Because I think what we talk about is quite relatable. And then also make sure you're following on there because it just helps boost the algorithm. So just wanted to mention that. We appreciate the listeners. But go on. Has anyone been messaging you?
So I had a message on LinkedIn from a guy called Matthew. I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, I suspect, but it might be Lazel or Lazel. director at G&I Freight Limited. He said, "Hello, Charlie. I recently stumbled across a podcast and just wanted to say thank you both for what you're doing. I started my first business just over 9 months ago, and listening to you both has helped me understand and look into things I necessarily wouldn't have. Two blokes chewing the fat, speaking in a language we can all understand. Thanks again. Hope all is well." It's nice, isn't it?
I've had a couple on LinkedIn as well, but I don't tend to go on it as often because I
No,
just
because
get
you just get the robots sending you sales stuff.
exactly, yeah.
Bloody loads of them, isn't there?
But there's been a couple that have messaged me on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, anyway, so we've had a good old ramble there for 15 minutes. We're
Love it.
not even done the
That's what
facts
we're
of the
all
week,
about, mate. That's what we're all
but
about.
just on the note of the old viral reel, that's still just people go on Instagram and look at the British Business Instagram page and look at one of the reels. It's got an obscene amount of views, considering how pathetic and small our little podcast is. But look at the comments. It's like it's an absolute cesspit of shit, to be
It is a
frank.
cesspit of shit.
Like it represents, unfortunately, how fucking moronic most people are, I think. Like, or how ill-educated they are, how people just don't understand the fact that if you put wages up, it increased costs for businesses, it makes it harder for businesses. Businesses can't employ people. Like I really don't understand. I think, unfortunately, the average person walking the street, they must have around 3 brain cells based upon the comments that we've received. So I know that's a bit of a harsh kind of summary, but
I had
I don't
a
care.
great comment on it last night. It was one of my favourites. I won't say it's from, but you can go and find it if you want. But it says, "Here's a better one. When your business was doing well, did you increase wages or pay yourself more?" I replied and I said, "Thanks for your comment. My business has never done well, so difficult to answer. I know I've paid myself the same for the last 3 years, though. Took on 5 new team members during that time as well, if that answers your question." Not a clue, have they? Like, not a Scooby Dooby Dooby.
Oh fucking hell! I swear to God, like,
Everyone lives in this world, particularly in the United Kingdom. I mean, I've heard like people talking about this all the time. Like, success over here is just like fucking frowned upon, isn't it? Oh, heaven forbid you do well for yourself. Oh, heaven forbid.
well, yeah, your mate Rupert Lowe spoke about that. I think I listened to it on a recent podcast, and he was saying how basically in the UK it is shameful to be successful,
Yeah, it is shameful. It's absolutely ridiculous. But
and it's just
it's an
like,
expectation when you start a business, employ people, and you're making loads of money because of them. It's like you are
yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
deluded.
I was in the sauna here in Cricklewood last night, and I was chatting to a guy that owns a business in Cricklewood. I can't say which one because someone might be listening, but we were just chatting, and his business, from an outsider looking, it looks really smart, really good. He's in the hospitality sector, but we were chatting about cost of employing people, and his business is super seasonal because it's got the opposite
Yeah.
seasonal curve to me. And it's like, for an outsider looking in, average Joe walking down the street must think he must be a millionaire, but
Yeah.
he's struggling with cash flow basically. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gnarly. So
Yeah, it's
anyway,
hard.
so yeah, check out that Instagram thing, and if you're feeling like, I don't know, a bit brave, feel free to chuck a comment on there and give some of the wokies some shit, because there's a lot of them.
I had an interesting conversation just before we started recording with a good friend of mine, runs a very successful private care company, specializes in mental health care, etc., etc. But I said to him, I said, I was speaking about the podcast and what we've been doing. I said, I whacked a reel up the other day, which talked about the Green Party wanting to introduce a £15 an hour minimum wage. And he basically said, if something like that happened, he said, mate, he said the whole care sector would literally collapse.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And, you know, that's just another business owner's kind of point of view from that sort of sector as well. Do you know what I mean? That they're working on like razor thin margins, they get X from local council to provide services, blah, blah, blah. And then they've got to try and manage that from there with all the resource that they need, all the consumables they need,
And I'm not
all the
being funny.
planning, compliance, systems,
Yeah.
regulation, training, etc.
Capital expenditure,
Yeah,
utility. It just goes on and on and on.
yeah,
But I think an interesting thing is, how do you, if minimum wage were to go to that £15 an hour, which some of these absolute numpties think is a good idea, how do you then recognise that middle management or that supervisory role when you're paying people £15 an hour who turn up for work late, can't be asked turning up because they're struggling with some kind of illness or sickness. Like
Mm.
the problem is with that entry level role is, in my experience, you just from speaking to other business owners in hospitality and stuff like that, you just get problems.
Mm.
So then how do you recognise the people that do turn up on time if you want to pay them slightly more? It's fucking ridiculous. But
Mm.
anyway, episode 73.
Yeah, I was going to say we've cooked that one, aren't we?
Yeah, we cut that 20 minutes in. The VAT cut that misses the point.
Ha! We're talking about the reduction of down to the 5%
Yeah, yeah. Have you heard about this?
for leisure businesses specifically.
Well, it's a little bit more specific than that.
Tell me,
Just to be
baby.
clear. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, British Business Facts of the Week. The fact: the government's Great British Summer Savings VAT. That's what it's branded
I
as.
hate that. I just hate that they brand it. I just hate it.
So
It was
it's
like eat
branded.
out. It's like eat out to help out. It's like oh
Oh my god! I
god.
mean, I'm just going to repeat it.
How much are they
Great.
paid to have that done? Oh.
Let me just repeat it. Great British Summer Savings VAT cut. That's what they called it. Runs for exactly 10 weeks from the 25th of June to the 1st of September and applies only to narrowly defined qualifying supplies. So, for children's meals, the reduced rate only applies where the meal is clearly presented as a dedicated children's menu item. Takeaways are excluded. For venues, only tickets specifically marketed as children's admission qualify. So family tickets and stuff like that. I mean, basically, it's a PR stunt
Yeah.
because it will help certain types of businesses, but it's a listen, it's tough out there. Here's a little bit of a something that we're going to do for a limited time basis as a bit of a thing so we can say that we are helping businesses.
Yeah, I just completely misses the point, doesn't it?
Now, I mean, interestingly, James Sinclair's businesses, it's some of like these theme park based
Mm.
attraction businesses, they will benefit and they
Yeah.
do need support. But my logic is like, right, okay, so they're going to get this reduction in VAT rate, and then it's going to go back up. So it's just like it's going to give them a little bit of extra cash flow, a little bit of extra profit for what 10 weeks, not even 3 months. So it's an acknowledgement by the government that it's hard for those businesses.
Mm.
I mean, unless the only thing I can think logically is it a test? Are they testing it with then the potential to roll it out? But
What do
what
you
about
think
the
in your heart of hearts when you ask
what?
that question to yourself?
Well, it's just a PR stunt. That's what
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Because why are they not supporting the pubs? Why are they not supporting the restaurants? The other hospital. If I was running a cafe or a restaurant, I'd be absolutely furious about
Mm.
that.
So would I.
Absolutely furious because what they've done is they've got and it's like it's pitched. It's just a PR stunt. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is good." And then when you read the finer details, I'm like, "Really?" I,
Mm.
yeah, I
Also,
was.
funnels people towards one sort of thing, doesn't it? So it basically disadvantages anyone else in like in a more urban setting, doesn't it? Like those people that are trying to put things on or do events and stuff in a town centre, etc.
Who
is
are struggling
who are
with
struggling
massive business
anyway
rates?
is
Yeah,
impacted doubly, aren't they? Because I think about the layout of Salisbury and stuff. You got some parks in the inner city centre, some nice bathing areas and whatnot, and there might be an ice cream van here, and there's obviously cafes and pubs and restaurants and things to do generally in the city centre. But okay, all of a sudden it's all right to you want to go down the local farm or to the zoo.
yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to
So
save a bit on the ticket.
you're right. They've effectively picked a competitor within the
Yeah,
hospitality
it is
sector.
a competitor.
So they've gone, right, we're going to give theme parks and zoos, location-based businesses like that, a bit of a boost. But then what about the town centres, which proportionally are probably, in terms of business rate per square footage, is probably higher.
Mm.
So that money that would have been spent evenly across the hospitality sector is now going to be more heavily focused in these theme parks and zoos. Now, my thoughts on that are like, okay, so you've helped one lot out, but then it's going to be more these other more centralized locations that are not businesses of those type. They're going to miss out on revenue because it's going to go elsewhere.
Mm.
If that's the case, actually, though, because think about it, right? Maybe that's not the case because the consumer isn't going to actually benefit from this.
Well, that they should do, shouldn't they? That's the whole. Isn't that the whole idea?
Well, no, because the measure. Well, it's
The
the
Great
the
British
me-
Summer, the Great British Day Out.
yeah. So this is interesting. So it's branded up from a consumer facing perspective, which is these are the locations where you can potentially save,
Mm.
but it's a business measure to support businesses. So if businesses just pass the saving on, they're no better off from a cash flow or
No,
profit perspective.
no.
Um, and yeah, so I think for me, it's a very bizarre way of doing it. I don't know. But the real thing for me is pubs are just like on their absolute knees, and then there's more stuff going on there. But you look in these local towns and like on the coast in Wales, I'm sat in Cricket at the moment on the seafront, and these businesses need support. It's pretty hard out there.
Mm. Yeah.
I,
I
I
was
don't know.
walking. I was walking through a town centre the other day. Another three shops just boarded up, right next, one by one by one, all next to each other. All had a few shops in there in the last, I don't know how long, but it's
They
sad,
need
mate.
to. They need. My view is for hospitality businesses, and I know it's hard for a lot of sectors out there, but those guys in particular, they've got high business rates, high labour costs. They need to look at reducing the VAT for them permanently, so it's in line with the rest of Europe. If you go to Europe and you eat out, the VAT, the sales tax is 5% in most countries.
Yeah,
So in the
Rangers done it
Netherlands,
579, but
yeah,
they're
exactly,
all an awful lot lower. I saved quite a few
yeah.
posts actually recently to talk about this sort of stuff, but like they you know, ho- from a ratings perspective, the classification of being hospitality and leisure is all well and good when they're taking money off you, but all of a sudden now when they're going to give you a bit, oh, they're different.
Yeah, I saw a
Do you
couple
know
of
what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a couple of good businesses kind of taking advantage of it, which I thought was quite clever. It was like this place in the centre of Manchester, this restaurant, um, or this pub had basically said like, because I think it's a bit complicated, but basically, I don't know whether they were actually doing what I think, but they've basically introduced this kids menu, but it was basically adult meals on a children's menu with adult prices, but it was branded as kids. But it was like these proper big plates of like steak and chips and stuff
Love
like.
that.
Yeah, and I was like, that's genius. Now you could get away with that, maybe. I don't know. Like if you were to brand up your entire menu as like kids only, full kids meals, like I don't know. Is that a creative way of getting? Because it's the adult that. Because I mean, the funny thing with that is like businesses don't make money on the kids' meals.
No.
It's I mean, and if you're going out, if you're taking your kids out for the day, they don't like.
Well, talking about days out, did you hear about? I don't know the ins and outs, but I only saw a few posts and a few bits of information about it. But did you see Truck Fest?
No.
You know what Truck Fest? I think it's a festival down this way somewhere, to be honest with you. But there was lots of posts and lots of support from independent businesses that have gone there and paid for their pitch for the weekend, but left a day early.
Oh, you're thinking of it was the Great British Farming Festival.
Well, I think there's a couple. I'm just looking at a post there that says um, specifically Truck Fest. But yeah, very similar thing. But basically saying that because of the pitch price and stuff, they've been charged to be at these things. There was one woman talking about the fact that she's been charged £1,240 plus VAT for a pitch selling £3 cakes. But effectively, people just weren't spending money when they went in there. So
Or
lots
the
of people,
event, or the event,
event
or
organisers
the
would say, "Go on."
yeah, or the event is ticketed.
It
So
was
they
ticketed.
so
It was
yeah, so they
ticketed. So they were talking about like £60 a ticket to get in or something ridiculous. Take your family of
yeah.
four, family of five, and you spent 300. And no one just been. There's a few comments on there said, "Look, I appreciate that, but you know, we paid X amount to get our kids in. If we ended up spending money trying to buy food whilst we were in there, we just wouldn't be able to do it. We just wouldn't be able to go."
Yeah, it's madness.
Um, you know, we talked and we joked a little bit the last couple of weeks about the the £9 Frankfurt hot dog that I purchased whilst I was out and about. But all these things, it's really hard for businesses, but it's also really hard for people at the moment. And there needs to be
Yeah, yeah.
some sort of level of support for all that, doesn't it?
Well, that to be
But
fair on that
we are just take fucking take.
to be fair on that Instagram post, I do get what some of them said. Like, there's a couple of comments where they're saying, "Well, it's hard for the staff as well," and I do get that. But
Yeah, same.
there's bigger things at play here than like I mean all this stuff going on. in the Middle East at the moment, that's going to have a massive impact on food prices because of the price of diesel going up. So all the tractor fuel is going to be more expensive. Like
Fertilizer as
so,
well, right?
yeah, fertilizer. And then there was something that absolutely right boiled my piss. I'll tell you. So the government, to counteract the projected increase in food costs following this situation, what they've done is logically this would be logical, wouldn't it? Bearing in mind their agenda is green, so as in they want to be environmentally friendly. So at the moment, the UK imports a lot of food, and there's duties on certain types of food. And the reason why there's duties is to protect localized agriculture so it
Hmm.
can compete. Because what happens is you bring in cheap food from offshore. Well, that then competes against localized food, which is expensive to make in the UK because we're not investing enough in agriculture. And it's a lot more complicated than that. But what the government have done to try and offset some of these increasing food costs is they've removed the duties or reduced the duties from food imports on specific sectors. But then the British agriculture that's trying to make that food in the UK, whether it's milk or whatever, there's no support. So, so what you're basically doing is you're going, right, these farms that have got to buy diesel at an inflated value and cost, they get no support. But then we're going to bring in food, cheap food, to compete with those British farmers.
It's nuts, isn't it?
And I'm just like,
We've got to
okay,
be
great.
missing something though, right? And we must be missing something. Like you and I talking about this because
Well,
these sorts of things seem so fucking obvious. We must be missing something. Like we must be not being told something. Surely.
well, you either go like fully globalized as an economy, or you protect UK industry. So now you can't protect things to the point where it's costing the taxpayer a ridiculous amount of money. But if we if British farming had the same level of subsidies as European farming, like the French government, what they invest in farmers, etc., like surely that would correlate to lower food cost
Mm.
because of the economies. Like we need economies of scale in this country. But I just with agriculture, for me, I really struggle to see how logically it makes sense to not provide your low, which you can tax. So you can tax these businesses, these farming businesses, from a profitability perspective and a turnover tax basis.
Yeah.
So if you subsidize them to help them grow and help them sustain themselves, and then you go, right, we then tax the revenue and profit on VAT and then the net profitability. That it's a good tax ecosystem. But if you just drop duties, the profit from the production of that food offshore goes to other countries' tax pots. So it doesn't make sense. So where it's being produced locally and then bought by UK businesses to sell, so you've not got the full ecosystem. So for me, you need to support UK business and infrastructure and industry.
Well,
That's
I thought that was the pure basis of economics. To be honest with you, that when I was doing business studies in year 10,
yeah.
oh Richard Larkham, absolute legend of a bloke, always used to draw us draw us a little barrel and describe the British economy as a barrel, and the water
Yeah,
comes in at the top and the water comes out at the bottom, and the water that comes in at the top needs to come in faster than the water needs to come out at the bottom in order for the level to rise. Right? Simple,
yeah,
quite
yeah, yeah.
simple. But we don't do anything like that.
We're not
we don't,
protecting
we don't,
British and
well, we don't because
yeah,
we don't because if you don't if money does not come into your shores from by other means or from other countries for the art of you selling stuff, then your true economy will never grow. You can talk about GDP to the cows come home, and I ain't an expert. If you're moving the same fucking money around, you ain't growing, are you? Like, let's be brutally honest. We don't do
yeah.
we don't help with any of that sort of stuff.
Well, if you all you've got to do is look at GDP per capita, and that has been decreasing, remaining flat basically, whereas other economies in Europe and the West in general have that's been increasing. So we've become proportionately weaker as an economy. While GDP has remained flat, the population has increased. So we're not in a good state. But anyway, um, going back to today's topic and
Mm.
episode, so why doesn't it go far enough? That's something that we kind of touched on. Well, UK Hospitality, which is it's like an industry organisation, has warned the sector is set for 2,076 closures in 2026. 963 restaurants, 540 pubs without a sector-wide solution. The rise in unemployment costs, sorry, rising employment costs from the national living wage increase are estimated to cost hospitality businesses in the UK a combined total of £1.4 billion. And I think for me, it helps certain businesses out in the summer months, but it doesn't do enough from a perspective of the winter, because you're heading into these businesses are going to experience significant seasonal drop off in the winter, but they're going to have the same level of fixed cost. So if you've got a sector that's struggling, my view is it should be a year-round thing. There should be. How can you test something over a 10-week period when it doesn't even cover a single VAT quarter? My view is it needs to be a 12-month test if they're going to do it, and it should be sector-wide.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that when we're talking about these things, when we're talking about running our own business, we talk about making small incremental changes across the course of a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years and constantly improving and compounding. And that compounding effect, what that compounding effect means in terms of the level of improvement across the course of time. Yet, when it comes to any sort of government policy or anything else, all of a sudden we're going to throw out a 10-week challenge
It's mad.
and
The
expect to
other
learn
thing,
stuff from that. Surely the policy, surely the policies need time. They need to be set from the very beginning. They need time to kind of aggregate all the way through and try and work out whether or not it's having a positive impact. I mean, we always said that the legislation is brought in and the as part of the first package of support or first package of fucking whack that we all got just hurt businesses. But if you'd have set it up at the beginning to try and help small businesses, and then we kind of reviewed and assessed those things, and we moved them as we were moving through Parliament, then surely we'd know a little bit more about what we need to be doing going forward. But we're just short term after short term all the time, aren't we?
yeah. Well, it's a PR stunt. That's kind of where
Fucking
my
yeah,
head's at. I mean, I was chatting to another guy, um, this last week while I was away, and he basically he's got a business now doing outdoor events and stuff like that. But he originally was a private school head teacher, and had been for 20 odd years, and then gone into being self-employed and set his own company up. And he said he feels retrospectively now that he's been very entrepreneurial, very driven, because there's a lot of entrepreneurial people that work in
mm,
the public sector and jobs in general, like that are employed. They just don't necessarily realize that they're entrepreneurial.
yeah,
But my point is firstly for him to take the leap and jump. Fair play to him to go from a very good salary to go and set up his own business. He says it was the hardest thing he ever did.
yeah,
But then one of the things, because I asked him and I said, what do you think about the VAT rate on private schools? And he said, well, schools are closing left, right, and centre. But what's happening is the larger schools, the larger groups of private schools are basically what they're doing is they're going around and they're buying, they're purchasing the freeholds and they're taking over the running of these smaller independents.
yeah,
Now, immediately I'm thinking, well, that is exactly what's happening in the SME space. All of the high street, if you go back in time, the high street is full of lots of small independent businesses
yeah,
that were profitable enough to exist and could pay the council tax and all the business rates, and they could employ people and all the rest of it. What we're seeing slowly, like Aberystwyth as an example in Wales, mid-coastal town, I went to there in university. That was quite famous locally for not really having many big high street brands, if you like, so
yeah,
Starbucks and stuff like that. You now walk down there, the independent bakeries, there's less of them.
mm,
Greggs are there. You've got Starbucks there now, big Starbucks on the corner, which used to be an independent spot. What's happening, in my opinion, is these increased costs that small businesses are facing. They can't have a go. So then what's happening is these bigger corporate entities are coming in and taking over the retail space,
yeah.
which surely is not good when most of these companies are set up with offshore tax structures so that
Starbucks
they
being
don't.
one of them.
Starbucks being one of them, where for if Starbucks in the UK, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's very similar, and it's the same with Apple and all these companies. If you make 100 million quid locally in the UK, well, coincidentally, what they do is and it's not 100 million, it'd be billions probably, but say 100 million for a round number. Like, well, what they do is they go, oh, well, to use the Starbucks licensing brand this year, it's 100 million quid, and they
Yeah, it's
just
exactly
raise
what
an
Starbucks
invoice from
do.
that.
Yeah,
And But that's so then the government wonders why they're not tax efficient because they're not supporting these small businesses that will pay the tax. So I'm just it. I
It was
really
always
don't
one. It
get
was
it.
always one of my dad's biggest gripes. That was
Yeah, but
the relationship between small business and big business. Big business
yeah.
were able to get away with so much more, whilst every single year he had to pay his corporation tax bill every
Well,
single year.
what we need to be happening in this country is you need micro businesses to people you need to see people in the public sector, successful people working for private companies as employees, take the leap and set up their own micro small business, one man band shop. That business then needs to grow to become a small business,
Yeah,
and then hopefully eventually a small percentage of those small businesses will become medium-sized businesses and eventually large. But
yeah,
the key thing then is that those medium and large businesses can then compete on the global stage.
yeah,
But that's with what's happening in our country, or the UK. So three countries, four separate entities. We're in a situation where these small businesses are not turning from small to medium, medium to large, and then competing on the global scale because the large businesses have all been bought out by private equity.
yeah.
That is foreign private equity. So we're in a very dangerous position. I mean, how do you fix that? Well, you stimulate the economy for small businesses. You give them opportunities. And this little fucking PR stunt that the Labour Party have put out, Great British Summer Savings. What a fucking shambolic mess that is. I'm just like I'm fucking annoyed about it because it's like them going, "Oh yeah, we're doing something for small businesses," and it's the most fucking watered down, half-assed measure they could have done. And then you've got all these restaurants and pubs that are just going to disappear and evaporate. What was it then that I just said? But yeah,
2,900.
2000, 2076 locations is projected to close this year across the country. And they are businesses that provide employment to young people who are starting off their careers. That I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But I mean, that's my little fucking rant over.
Yeah, I like it. So, what would you be doing then if you were one of these leisure businesses then going into the 10 weeks?
I would probably offer some kind of marketing and sales push to incentivize the consumer to come and transact with me, because I've been given a great opportunity. But I wouldn't give away all my margin.
No.
So I'd offer some kind of incentive to try and because otherwise it's kind of like, well, you need to make hay while the sun shines. So I'll probably spend a bit more on marketing and advertising. So that 15% that I'm now getting instead of having to pay on VAT, I'd probably spend half of it on marketing, and then I'd look to grow the business in the next 10 weeks. But it's hard just to ramp up the business from zero. How do you hire for that?
What in a 10 before the 10 week starts?
Well, it starts on the fucking when does it start? It starts on 25th of June.
Hmm.
So you've got 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to hire staff in for a busy period. You've got to build a marketing plan
You don't
around
know how
it.
busy it's going to be either.
Don't know how busy it's going to be. You've got to order stock in.
Yeah.
So you've got to order food and stuff like that. It's a
And get
fucking
that right.
nightmare.
And get that right, by the way.
And get it right, which you won't. You'll make mistakes. Because whenever
You'll
you
have
buy
too
stuff,
little or too less because you
yeah,
planned on
exactly.
forecast from last year. Blah, blah, blah.
It's a fucking mess. So they've given businesses 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to get a plan together. They're unbelievable. Unfucking
Have you
believable.
spoken to anyone that runs a business like this that is going to be impacted or not? Or
No,
have
I
you had a
read
chance to
James.
yet?
I don't. To be honest with you, it's an interesting one that I don't. If you run a hospitality business that benefits from this VAT cut, drop me a message on
Yeah,
on
please do.
Instagram. I'd love to have a chat. But I mean, for me, if I was a pub or restaurant, I'd be absolutely furious.
Mm.
And I think it's wrong. I think it really is. It's a step in the right direction. They are acknowledging and conceding that you can't tax your way to growth. Um, because they're probably looking at that sector and going, "Fucking hell, this sector's struggling. We need to do something, or at least we need to be looking like we're doing something." But yeah, not impressed at all. Um, Clause question of the week, mate. It's
Mm.
a really straightforward one, actually. This one,
Is it?
yeah, really straightforward. I'm
Makes a
just going to
fucking
ask you
change.
straight off that. Should VAT on hospitality be permanently lower? Yes or no,
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking hell, that's it.
Fucking
Game
hell.
over. See you later, mate. Thanks for coming. See you next week.
Yeah. Well,
That's bullshit. That's been bullshit for a long, long time though.
yeah. So that's my little therapy session.
Do you feel better after talking about that? Nothing to do with it.
I'm
Doesn't affect you in the slightest, but
No, but this is why we do the podcast because we're
it is.
passionate about small businesses, and it just fucking pisses me off. And I'm
Mm,
sorry for swearing, and I know some people don't like it, but it is what it is. If you don't like me swearing, don't listen.
piss
Carry
off.
on. Oh, I don't know. Right. Well, I'm going to do some work now for a bit, so
You sitting in the car and doing a bit more work in the car?
yeah, because it's freedom, isn't it? So I'm going to reply to some emails, and
What's the
then
weather like there this week?
it's been quite warm in the car. I've had to put the aircon on. Don't know if you
Have
can
you?
hear that on the mic, but yeah,
That's because you're wearing your
um,
little Swazi fleece, mate. Is it Swazi or is that a Ridgeline?
it's Ridgeline this one. Yeah,
Ridgeline, yeah. Sorry, I can't see from it.
yeah. Although I do like Swansea. Swansea's a very
I
good
know you love
brand.
Swazi. I do love a Ridgeline, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, should we leave it there?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Lovely to speak to you as always.
Yeah, good to chat. Cheerio, guys. Thanks for listening.
Ciao.